Entspirational. Janita, as our counter today, how will you be helping us cure our crutches? Nope. Good. Okay, I think we'll move on. Janita's going to be counting our ums. Oh, you got it? Okay. And she'll provide a report at the end to tell us how wonderfully we all did speaking smoothly. Our next functionary today is our grammarian, which is Shantae. Please tell us what you'll be doing today.
It's my first time being a grammarian, so why don't you tell me what I'm doing today and I will take a note.
You are going to listen to excellent use of the English language that we're using, and maybe, just in case it happens, maybe make a note of less than excellent use of the English language and give us a report at the end of the meeting.
I can't believe that somebody's asking me to do this finally. I do it all the time, just unprompted. So wonderful, thank you.
You can finally get it out of your head.
Yes, yes.
Then we have our timer for today. Mr. Marty Scholes has stepped up into the role. Marty, how will you be assisting us as timer?
I will be, thank you. I will be trying to track everybody's time. I will give you a warning as soon as I figure out how to get a virtual background working on my Zoom, which appears to be not a thing right now. And I will let you know with a green when you've met the minimum time, see? And in yellow when you've met the midpoint, and red when you've gone to the end of your allotted time, and then something creative when you've exceeded that by 30 seconds. And I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thanks, Marty. We have our word master for today. Janita, thank you so much for plugging in the word of the day, inspired. I plan to use more of it than Marty today, but please provide us a report at the end of the meeting. And our general evaluator. Nathan, share with us what you'll be doing as general evaluator today.
Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster. So I'm going to be a general evaluator of the two evaluators for the speeches, as well as other functionaries, and making sure that they're all on point with their jobs and skill sets too.
Thank you. It's a good time to move on to some of the meat and potatoes of the meeting, which is the speaking part of the meeting. Our first speaker today is Latasha Kessel, and her evaluator is Eric Merrill. Eric, can you tell us a little bit about what we're listening and watching for in Latasha's speech today?
Of course. Latasha is speaking from Visionary Communications Level 2, Project Number 1, Understanding Your Leadership Style. The project is designed to introduce the different styles of leadership to help you identify your preferred style. The purpose, the overview, is complete the Discover Your Leadership Style questionnaire. Consider how your leadership style impacts the people around you and how you can adjust it more effectively, or to more effectively lead people. With styles different from your own, deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech at your club meeting to share some aspect of your leadership style or leadership styles in general. You may choose to discuss your style preferences when working with others, your style and how you can adapt it to situations, or leadership styles in general and how they impact a group.
Had to unmute. Thank you, Eric. The title of Latasha's speech today is Unconditional Love, and the time is 5 to 7 minutes. No, it's not. I'm just kidding. Please help me welcome our first speaker for today, Latasha Kessel.
All right. So what is my leadership style? That's actually the title. And it was a hard question for me. I had to do a lot of reflecting on that question. The word leadership in general has broad implications. Sure, there's a textbook definition of leadership, but I bet you $1,000,000 we all have our own definition or vision of what leadership is. Today, as Eric said, I've been tasked with talking about my leadership style. And while it is something that I have had to think about in terms of action, it's not something that I've had to articulate very often. Through my reflection, I realized or discovered that I have had to use many different leadership styles. Over the course of 10 years in the Air Force, I led many different people with many different personalities who had many different needs. I learned very early on in my career to listen and observe and offer a style that the situation needed. According to mindtools.com, there are 3 leadership styles. You have your authoritarian or autocratic style, you have your democratic participative style, and you have your delegating laissez-faire kind of hands-off style. Looking back, in situations like managing programs and processes for an entire unit of people, we're talking hundreds of people, authoritarian, autocratic was more appropriate. I didn't have the space nor the time to get buy-in or to collaborate or to be hands-off. There were deadlines, there were very strict structures and guidelines for the way things needed to be, and I had to be able to enforce consequences if those things weren't carried out the way they needed to be. However, when we talk about leadership on a more individual level, I wanted to know what people thought. I wanted to know what their insights were and where they thought we should go in terms of direction, and use that and actively consulted them before I made decisions. In those instances where there were people on the team that were able to self-motivate, they knew the goals and they knew the vision, and they showed that by their output, I was able to delegate and be hands-off and take a more laissez-faire approach. So in the end, I know what style I'm most comfortable with. And I did take a quiz, so I know what the quiz says my leadership style is. And I know which one I'm more comfortable with, like I said. And I also know that maybe they're all required to be an effective leader. Because as Peter Drucker, one of the most widely known and influential thinkers on management and leadership, says, effective leadership is defined by results and not attributes. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. I found that inspiring. I like your point of view on the leadership. Mr. Timer, could we have 1 minute on the clock, please, so people can type in some comments? Marty, that looked fantastic.
I was hoping you weren't able to see that.
Thank you. Our second speaker today is Queen of Everything, Janet Sellers, and her evaluator for her speech is going to be Jennifer Yancey. Jennifer, can you tell us a little bit about what we're listening for in Janet's speech today?
Thank you, Madam President and Madam Toastmaster. Janet's speech is Speaking to Inform number 2, Resources for Informing. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech, presentation at audience's level of knowledge, major points supported by explanation, examples and information gathered in research, at least one visual aid effectively used to enhance the audience's understanding. And the title of her poem today is Breaking News from Ancient Times and Still Valid Today. And listening to Janet before, I'm pretty certain I will be inspired by her words. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Janet Sellers is an artist and writer and likes writing and also health and family. As a holistic mother, she has studied and played out some of the most interesting aspects of family life, including some of the ancient ways that are so easy and practical for families. She hopes to share this with you and any parent or relative or friend of a parent to thrive. And everyone will think that you're a genius once you know these things. Please help me welcome Janet Sellers. Janet, both of yourselves are muted.
Unmute. Let's see if the other. Am I muted now?
We hear you.
Okay, so I'm going to start over again. I was trying to gallery view because I want to see more. I tend to talk a lot and I can keep going. I chose this talk as a gift to every single one of you. Whether you have kids, whether you don't have kids, I want you to know these things. Who here has had any experience with babies? Raise your hand. I'm here to tell you that you have had experience with babies because you used to be one. Huh. So as far as I'm concerned, you've had experience. Babies communicate, and so does most all creatures. Even if you have a dog as a pet, they make sounds. And I want to talk to you today about 3 things. I want to talk to you about baby sounds. I want to talk to you about ways that you can help your own baby or someone else's baby be comfortable. And I want to tell you about a couple of resources that are going to help you. I had what's called a precipitous birth with both my children. I have 1-hour labors, which everyone thinks is wonderful. But I'm here to tell you that 1 hour of preparation is not enough to get to the hospital. So I had a lot to do and a lot to learn in that 1 hour. One of the pieces that was hard for me was I had very severe postpartum depression. And that's not something that you can plan for, and it's not something you may even recognize with yourself. But if you know someone else who had a baby and is having difficulty with feeling cheerful or comfortable or sleeping, I'm putting it on you to help them because they may not know it. It's extremely important for the person to get care. I will never forget the first resource I found. We moved away from everything I knew, 3 hours away, and I called the La Leche League. And that's a group that will help you to adjust to being a mother, regardless if it's number 1 or number 5. And I said to her, what am I going to do? I'm exhausted. There's no one here. We're in the desert. It's so doggone hot. We're right next to Death Valley. It was 113 degrees outside, and I'm inside with the baby, and I don't know a soul. And she said, you need to take a break from that baby. You don't have anybody around to help, and you need some time to yourself, or you're going to throw that baby up against the wall. And I laughed, and I thought, that's so cruel, but I felt like it. I wanted to throw anything against the wall. I didn't do it, but I wanted to. So I wanted to share with you some things, and if you have a pencil, write it down, because you're going to save somebody's life. You're going to save some baby from getting shaken. You're going to save a mother from her guilt and her fears and her depression. And you're going to save a father who may or may not be aware that he can help. I was inspired by Nathan's talk last week. And the entire time he talked, I wanted to interrupt him and say, I know this stuff. I know this stuff. I've been there. Long time ago, but I've been there. The first thing I want you to write down is Dunstan baby sounds. And that's, you'll find it on, if you don't want to read the book, which I did not, I looked on some videos that Oprah did. They're from a few years ago, but you will understand baby sounds and what they mean. Babies communicate. I know this about babies. I know this about dogs. People say, how do you know that? And I said, because I was paying attention and I listened. If you listen to birds, they have communication. So I wanted to mention that in Dunstan baby sounds, there are 5 basic sounds that you will hear. I will tell you one, and that is neh. And if you say that to yourself or out loud right now, neh, that's a natural movement of the tongue for a sucking that the baby will do. And when the baby makes that sound, it's hungry. There are other sounds, and you should look these up because I'm not a baby. I don't sound like a baby when I'm saying them. But there's eh and huh and and I bet you can guess what that one is. And so if you pay attention to those sounds, you're going to know what that baby needs. It's not going to be crying because it doesn't need extra attention. It's getting what it needs. It's already told you a bunch of times what it wants and what it needs. And you'll be able to take care of it. You'll be able to handle it. We have been robbed. This is why I put ancient in my title. We have been robbed of this knowledge in Western society. Native Americans know this. In Africa, they know this. My Russian mothers that I teach have told me these things because they don't have the money to do the fancy things that we do over here, which goes to the next part I was going to tell you about, which is about elimination communication. This isn't a topic that you would bring up at a cocktail party, but by golly, you're going to save somebody's life. So elimination communication is what the Russian mothers and the African mothers and the mothers in India have to do because they don't have money for diapers. They listen to the baby, they know when the baby needs to go, and they take the baby to the toilet or wherever they normally go. So that's number 2. You're going to save landfills and thousands of dollars if you understand that. You don't have to use it all the time, but you're going to save a ton. So that's another resource. We have elimination communication, we have Dunstan baby sounds, and the third thing I wanted to talk to you about was baby wearing. Mothers and fathers can wear their babies. This is ancient. This is what a baby needs. Your baby needs to feel your heartbeat. It's been hearing the mother's heartbeat since it's created from the inside, and it needs to hear it from the outside to know what it is. For my own son, who was born a month early, big baby, but he couldn't breathe on his own, we went and talked to him through the isolette every single day until he could come home. He was on oxygen. That baby knew our voices. From the inside of the room, he knew our voices. We saw another little baby in that isolette next to him. I'm serious, his little legs were the size of my finger. Born 6 months, my son was born at 7 months. Nobody came to see that baby. It didn't hear its parents' voice, and it was not thriving. It was ready to go because there was nobody there. Their nurses took care of them, but there was nobody there. And I thought to myself, something's got to be done for those wearing the baby. You can wear it. They used to wear it by a piece of fabric. The papoose thing goes on, or you can carry the baby or backpacks. So many ways to carry the baby and wear the baby so that it is with its loved parent. It's figuring this planet is. So I can't see Marty. I don't know how to find Marty to find out if I'm talking too long, but that baby needs to hear your voice. We had a father who said, well, our baby was born early and there's nothing I can do. And I said, you know what? You get in that hospital and you talk to that baby and you skip your work. You're going to save that baby's life. And he said, what do you mean? I said, that baby knows your voice. That baby knows who you are, and you're not there, and neither is your wife. So he went to the hospital that afternoon and decided that he would go every single day. He couldn't live at the hospital. And by golly, within a week, that baby was home. It was supposed to come home 2 months later. But I knew that if that baby could hear its dad talking and its mom talking, it would be well enough to go home. So those are things that I hope that you will think about. We have resources. You can look online, and there's too much there. So I'm going to say for 3 things to save a life: Dunstan baby communication. And if you have a dog or a cat, you can apply that. I know what my dogs need when they talk to me, and they just make little sounds. And if I don't listen, they make bigger sounds. So there you have that one. Then we have the baby wrap that you can look up and find a baby. I nearly dropped my son onto the floor when I tried the one that I was given. I nearly killed him. I had to catch him midair. Find the one that you can use or that someone can use. Look up the La Leche League. La Leche means milk. And understand that the ancient wisdom that we have inside ourselves has been robbed from us, that we need to avail ourselves again of the natural wisdom. How the heck did 10,000 years of human beings get along, or 30,000 years of human beings get along without, my God, the pharmaceutical industry and diapers? Hello. We can do this. I hope you learn something from this. I hope you can remember anything. In fact, the fact that if you just see someone who looks sad and depressed, that you could help them, because you will save a life if you do those things. Plenty more that I could say on this topic. Plenty more that could help parents. And if you're sitting next to them on an airplane, imagine your quiet ride you'll have. Can you think of that? On an airplane, crying baby, you listen to the sound, you can make that stop and make that baby happy. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a splendid day and save lives with understanding baby communication. Thank you.
Thanks, Janet.
You are welcome.
Mr. Timer, can you throw a minute on the clock for us, pretty please? Thanks, Marty. We'll now move into the fun and games, as well as skill building portion of the meeting we call table topics. Please help me welcome your table topics master du jour, Madam Mimi the Motivator.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and Madam President. It's like you were peeking over my shoulder and knew that I was going to play a game. Like, how did you know? So today we're going to play my party icebreaker game. So I learned this some years ago, and it's where I ask these 4 questions. So get you some paper. If you have some paper nearby, it'd be great. And I'm also going to give you some really quick table topic strategy tips. Just a reminder, the word prep, P-E-P-R-E-P. P for point, R for reason for point, E for example to support the point, and then P for point restated. Next, you can do past, present, future. You can do the pros or the cons, or you can do the 5 W's and 1 H. Or just talk about what you want to talk about. So here are my questions. The first question is, what is your favorite animal? Now, if you're feeling bold, you can type it in the chat box or you can type it in the private chat to me, and I may choose you from there. The second question to ponder on is, if you went to sleep and woke up in an empty room with all white walls, no windows and no doors, what would you do? The third question to think about is, if you fell back to sleep and woke up on the beach, what would you do? And then lastly, you're on this island is what you realize. It's not just a beach and you have everything that you need, but there's an island over there. Do you go? So the first question, I'm going to call on Miss Shantae. Miss Shantae, what is your favorite animal?
Dogs. I love dogs, and I want to be reincarnated if possible as a dog to a great owner. That's really important to me. It was just yesterday that I commemorated my boy Kiyoki's life. He passed away 4 years ago yesterday. He was 140 pounds of love. He was the most beautiful Akita you ever have seen, and his name meant silence. He lived up to that. It took me 8 months of training daily to get that boy to speak on command. He was just not having even a little bit of it. And what I found is I had grown up with cats, so I never had that connection. Like cats, you don't know what they're going to do. You're laying on the couch, they're sitting over you. Are they going to attack? Are they going to lick your face? Are they going to crawl on your chest and purr? What's going to happen? You don't know. My dog was so transparent. And of all of my children, the one I did not birth was my favorite. And my children know this to be a fact. I love them all equally, but he was always happy to see me. He never talked back. And I don't think I've ever felt such a pure love in my life as I have felt from my dog. And that's why I love dogs. So thanks for listening.
Thank you for sharing. And a little tip for you guys, if you're concerned about seeing Marty, the timer, you can always pin his video when it's your turn to speak. So you'll see when it's time. So the next question, and I'm sorry, I have a phone going off somewhere. I don't even know where it is buried in this mess. The next question, I'm going to skip, since we're inspired by nature today is our theme. We're going to stick with the nature-oriented questions unless we have time for a fourth question. So you wake up on a beach. What do you do? I'm going to give this question to Miss Yancey, Jennifer Yancey. You wake up on a beach, what do you do?
If I were to wake up on a beach, the first question would be, where's the cookout? And if I wake up on a beach, what am I wearing? Am I in a swimsuit? Am I in a dress? Am I wearing what I'm wearing right now? Am I wearing what I was wearing before I went to sleep? And are there people around me? If there are people around me, I'd ask, well, how did you get here? And where's the cookout? So I love to swim, so I'd probably go out into the ocean if the tide was right, and probably do what I used to do as a child, just listen to the waves crashing and just lay there and get a tan. I mean, it's summer, it's almost August, so it's par for the course. What else do you do on a beach? But just have fun. That's the only thing I equate to a beach, is to have fun. So that's pretty much what I would do if I woke up one day on the beach.
Thank you for that answer. So what I failed to do is to tell you in your first answer, your favorite animal and the aspects that you appreciate about that animal, that's what you're looking for in your partner. So the second question is, you wake up on the beach, what do you do? What you do is your response to after having an orgasm. So apparently Miss Yancey is going to get something to eat. So our next question is, you you realize that you're actually on an island that has everything that you need and possibly more. And then you see another island over there. Do you go over there and check out that island? Miss Grace. will you check out the other island?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. If I were on an island and saw that there was this beautiful, shiny island across the way, I would think about going over to the other island, but then I would think about what that island does not have that I currently have on the current island. A lot of the times, the grass is not always greener on the other side, and I am definitely not a risk taker. And so I would not decide to go over to the other island just because I know without a doubt that I have everything that I need on the current island, and it would totally gut wrench me if I found out that I decided to go to the other island and it had nothing that I needed. And the entire time I would be wishing that I was back on the other island. And so I think there's a great message in that, to be happy and satisfied with what you have and decide to take risk only if you know what the risk is. Madam Table Topics Master.
Wow, what an answer. So really quick, I'm curious, drop in the chat box. Would you go to the other island? Yes, no, maybe. One answer. I want to know. I want to know. I really like that Nathan put the grass is always greener. Yes, yes, yes. So what that tells you is the chances of you cheating, you going and checking out some other islands. Do we have time for one more question? I can't find, let me see, where is Mr. Timer? Do we have time for one more question?
Well, you don't want to ask me that. I'll say, yeah, we're limited to another 42 questions, actually.
Okay.
So, no, it's really up to you, Sandy, but I think we're okay for another one.
I think we're good for just one more.
That's all I have.
Okay, not 42 then, just one.
Okay. So the other question, the second question that I asked is that you went to sleep and you woke up in a room, an all white room with no windows and no doors. What do you do? Eric.
That's an interesting question. No doors, no windows, all white. One, you're probably going to go blind because of all the white walls, no color to look at. Two, I think you have to accept what your fate is. I think you have to accept that I'm in this space. I have to accept this for what it is and learn to love it. And that way you'll be able to survive being in a room that has nothing but you and white walls. So I think if you take a minute and think about it and not panic when you wake up in that room, you're going to be fine. As long as you understand you still have everything you had before, it's just surrounded by these white walls. Thank you.
Thank you. So what that question is referencing is how you would respond to death. And now I am done. Please submit your favorite table topics answer to me in a private chat. I'll take that. We had, I didn't take notes. Oh my gosh. We first had the question of the favorite animal, and we heard about Shantae saying she would be wanting to be reincarnated as a dog. The second question was waking up on the beach and what would you do? Jennifer said, where is the cookout? The third question was, am I going to the other island? Grace said, no, I'm not taking the risk. I'm cool where I am. And then the last question you just heard, it was Eric. Please submit your favorite answer to me now. Thank you. Passing this back to Madam Toastmaster.
Thanks, Mimi. In the meat and potatoes structure of the meeting, I think we're kind of on the potatoes with a bunch of butter and gravy and salt and pepper. Nathan Rosane is going to lead us in the evaluation portion of the meeting where we can get that immediate feedback and go out into the world and put it into action. Please help me welcome Nathan.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Wow, the evaluations, the speeches were fantastic. The evaluations I thought were very great as to giving directions and everything like that. One of the things that I was really inspired by was actually both evaluators having the information just given to them by the Easy Speak, saying, here's the speech information, here's what we need to do, and giving that to the rest of the congregation. So I greatly appreciate that. I thought that was very well prepared. With the evaluations of the word master and everything, I think everybody's doing their functionaries very well. The biggest issue obviously kind of comes down to technology. We noticed that with Janet's speech just a little bit, and we're going to do that. So first one I'm going to introduce, I apologize, on the speeches. Yeah, see, technology, I told you. All right, so first evaluator is going to be Eric. Eric's going to evaluate Latasha's actual speech, and we're going to see where this goes. Eric, let us know how Latasha did.
Thank you, Nathan. Latasha, thank you for taking on this subject. It's a tough subject for anybody to talk about because we all want to think that we're great leaders, but it takes going inward to find inspiration for what kind of leader you are. I really liked that you went back to your military days to talk about what kind of leadership that took. And it took the kind of leadership where it's authoritarian. You need to do this. This is what we've been tasked with. We have to get it done. And then once you're in your civilian life, that changes a little bit. I've always been of the belief that great leaders are great listeners. I don't think you can lead by dictating. I think you have to lead by understanding what everybody on your team and everybody around you thinks. Ultimately, yes, you do have to make a decision, but I think you make a better decision by listening. So I like that fact. I would have liked to see you spend a little more time on connecting the two together, connecting your past to where you are now, and what that transition was like in a leadership role type of thought process, from going from having to be authoritative to being more of a listener, more of a collaborative leader. So I would like to have seen you spend a little more time on that. Beyond that, I think that your speech was well organized and you did a great job delivering it. It's always hard in this weird Zoom technology to express yourself and have that everybody be able to see your passion for something. But I feel like you are passionate about leadership styles and you're still working on figuring out what your leadership style really is. And the good thing is you're going inside yourself to find that. So thank you for your speech, and I look forward to your next one.
Thank you, Eric. I love that you gave that correction and then kind of a what to do next. That's fantastic. So now we're going to hear from Jennifer Yancey. She's going to evaluate Janet's speech. Take it away.
Thank you, Nathan. Janet, you didn't disappoint. I was truly inspired by the content of your speech. Although I am not a parent, I learned a lot from the speech that you gave, the information that you shared. And speaking of sharing, I want to say, first off, thank you so much for your transparency, your vulnerability, and sharing the challenges that you had very early on as a new mother. So thank you for that. That really lent a lot to the content of your speech. So thank you for sharing that. And again, as I said, even though I'm not a parent, the information that you shared today can prove very useful in helping people I know who are parents or are going to be parents or at least have young babies. So this works all the way around. So it's not just beneficial to those who are parents, but those who are not. As always, you always engage with humor, a lot of energy, a lot of inflection in your voice, a lot of expression, and that's always truly appreciated. Let's see. You could tell that people really responded to what you were saying, especially Nathan. You referred to the speech that he gave a week or so ago, referenced that, and he had the most responses, the most reaction to what you were saying, which was fantastic. It was great to watch. And I love the fact that you provided resources so we can do further, research on our own to find out more about what you were talking about. Let's see. The only thing I can't really see much of anything to work on, except I know technology is not your favorite subject. I know you had to start over, which great recovery, but especially with the energy that you bring and the life that you bring to what you say, it kind of takes away from it just a little bit when you have to start over. But again, technology, we've all been through it. So that's pretty much all I have. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Great evaluation. Like Jennifer had said, I was very inspired by both speeches, especially the leadership, Tasha, bringing that where you were to where you are, like Eric was saying. I think that's fantastic. Bring that into your next speech, whatever topic that brings in. And then, as Jennifer even said, I've been writing, like I've got like 8 pages of notes right here from Janet. So I'm definitely going to try this new parenting thing again. So hopefully I don't mess up on my next. One of the great things I love about this group is the maturity. Not that we've been around for a long time, because I'm pretty sure we're pretty in our infancy in relation to Toastmasters International, but you guys are always so encouraging, and I really appreciate that for everybody's speeches and everything. So definitely take what you heard and use it towards your next speeches, but also everybody who listened to this and thinking about their speeches. We need to learn from each other. The best teacher is experience, but why not learn from the experience of another as well? Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster.
Let's grab those functionary reports too.
So the Percocet is working its way into me.
I should have said please. I can't believe I just figured that out. I'm like, just sorry.
Quite all right. So with the functionaries, one of the biggest things that I'm learning through my pathways, and I learned through an article actually that Mimi shared with me on Toastmasters International, is to give feedback on functionaries as well, rather than grow it as just, you did the job, you did the job. One of the things that I want to, I take pride in, and I hope you guys take pride in, is even though this whole new Zoom technology and everything, we're still learning that. However, we're getting good. I hope you guys are seeing that too. I went to I was a guest at another group, actually out of another state, and I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but we're doing a lot better than some could be doing, right? With the timer, obviously, Marty, not having those slides earlier on and everything, just you're as white as your wall, apparently. So we saw the whole color, everything, minus the shirt. So just get on that. So let's go with how we did. So first thing we had, let's go with the counter. So counter, I apologize again.
Hello.
It's not making my memory. Yes, Shanetta.
Shanita.
How did we do? Shanita, I always say that wrong. I'm so sorry.
Well, thank you. Everyone did a lot of so's. There was a lot of use of so. We really need to be careful of that. But as far as ums go, I counted one from Mimi, one from Nathan, one from Jennifer. Nathan, you did 3 uhs and 1 o. So there we go. We need to be careful of the so's, but we use it so naturally, it really does not take away, but that is how Toastmasters are supposed to speak, without those so's. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Janita. So how did we do with our grammarian? Our grammarian is Shantae today. So how did we do with the word of the day, inspired? Inspire us.
So with the word of the day, inspired, I think, and I missed it in the beginning with Marty, because I know he usually does it a million times. So I don't think I was catching it at that point. But according to my count, Jennifer had 3 in there. So people kept trying. I didn't even bring it up on my table talk, and I'm the one that came up with the word. So sometimes that happens. And look at me going with the so's. And then as far as any grammatical issues in the speeches, when we look at Latasha, there was a little bit of a redundant use of the word many. And I don't know if we're looking for redundancy, but that's something that I would cite as like a copy editor. If I were taking a look at a paper and critiquing that, I would maybe put some synonyms in there. And then there was one time where the sentence just switched right over halfway through, and the original words probably could have been used. So I think we all do that a lot at one point or another, at least. And then for our friend Janet, and both great speeches, by the way, I saw here, so does most creatures instead of so do most creatures, since that is because of the plurality of the sentence, we want to make sure to use do. And Janet, you do what I do sometimes, you interrupted your own sentences. So you stop midway and then change directions when the first thing you said was just fine. So that's all I have.
Excellent. Thank you, Shantae. And I think I've talked well enough. I'm going to give it back to Madam President and Madam Toastmaster. So sorry about my Percocet talking too much.
No worries. I can't believe I just blurted that out like, hey. So hot tip for next general evaluator is feel free to call out your Toastmaster if they suddenly lose their manners entirely for a minute. That is totally acceptable to point it out. Marty, speaking of whether we've spoken enough or not, how did we do on time today? Did we speak enough?
We learned something today. Thank you. I am inspired as a result of something that happened. And I'll tell you why. First of all, Jennifer, you did great. 5 to 7, I recorded 4:21, almost there, just almost there. Janet, 5 to 7, you ran 10:17. And I realized that you couldn't see me. It never occurred to me that that would be a scenario. I almost jumped in to let you know, but I didn't warn you that was going to happen, so I didn't. But in the future, I think what I'll do when I'm timer is say up front, if you run long, I'll jump in and let you know to solve for issues like this. Real quick, table topic, Shantae, 1 to 2 minutes, nailed it, 1:23. Jennifer, table topics, just under at 57 seconds. She's just right there, just right on the edge. Sounded great though. Grace, 1:18, nailed it, perfect. And Eric, 57 seconds, almost there. The speech evaluations, 2 to 3 minutes. Eric, 2:23, got it great. And Jennifer, 1:58. That's my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. Mimi, do you have exciting news for us? We're all winners, but do we have a very specific winner from our riveting table topics for today?
Yes, we do. So I would like for us to give a big inspirational speakers boom boom clap for our guest, Miss Grace.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know about anybody else. I miss having you guys go up and take a picture together. Does anybody have screenshot ability? They could like take a picture of the screen. By the way, there's an just keep counting. And then we could rearrange the picture with Grace and Mimi next to each other as if they were handing each other an award and shaking their hand. I'm not that clever. I think it's a great idea, but I do not have the capacity to do it. We have 3 minutes left in this meeting. Does anybody have any super duper quick short announcements they'd like to share today? Going once, going twice. Please expect an email from me regarding makeup officers training. As Mimi has said oh so many times, officer training is not just for officers. Everybody is invited. And now that we have 2 minutes left, let's give the floor back to your VP of Education so she can get our next meeting scheduled. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Toastmasters, and guests. Who is going to be Toastmaster? Let's start with that. I'm going to be pulling up Easy Speak, and I'm also going to check who hasn't served in that role in a while.
Hey, Mimi, I'm not at the next 2 meetings. I'm not ignoring the opportunity to sign up.
Okay. Let me see what we have on the schedule for next week so far. Okay, it's all clear. So I need speakers and I need a Toastmaster. So go ahead and unmute yourselves and I'll jump in at one time.
If I could speak, I'd like to. Mimi.
Yes, you may, sir. So Nathan, you'll be speaker number 1. Yes.
Mimi, I'm due for a speech too.
You are, my dear. So Jennifer Yancey is going to be speaker number 2. Can I get someone to evaluate these wonderful folks?
I'm happy to help out.
All right.
This is Marty.
Yes.
I'll do an evaluation if you need one.
All right. So I have Shantae and Marty evaluating. I need a timer. That's very important. Anybody willing to take that spot that's here today? Going once, going twice. Okay, well, at this,
Mimi.
huh?
I'll be timer.
Thank you, Eric. Timer. All right. Who else would like to take a roll? Going once, going twice. I will be emailing you. I will hunt you down. I know where you work. I might know where you live. I don't know. I might can find your address, but I do know where you get your emails from. So
This is Q. I can be Toastmaster.
you know what? That's a great idea. I am going to put him in as Toastmaster. I'll check with him. I'll shoot him a text. All right. Thank you so much. I'll pass this back over to the president.
Thank you, Madam VP of Education. On that inspiring note, I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming today.
Yes. Grace,
Bye,
what did you
everybody.
think about our meeting? Oh,
I was going to say, I think everyone's jumping off. But
that's all right.
I thought it was good. I definitely enjoyed the greeting. Initially, I liked the fact that you had a lot of the names with the positions on Zoom so that you can know exactly who is an officer and who is a guest. I like that you guys had fun in the meeting. The questions and the hidden meanings behind them were definitely very fun. And I thought it was a lot of great, useful feedback. So I just think it will really depend on what's going on with my job. Right now I'm working remote, but if things change soon, I will be in Denver. And so then of course I won't be able to join if Zoom is not an option. So that's the only thing with the lunch meeting as of right now.
Well, we are going to remain online, even if we do go back in person. We have voted to be a hybrid club, kind of taking after your club. I told them New Life was doing this before it was a thing, you know, and I said, and it doesn't seem that difficult. At least y'all made it seem pretty easy. So
yeah, Zoom is probably one of the easiest platforms to use. I've used WebEx and Ring Central and Google Hangouts, and I feel like Zoom is the easiest.
Okay. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you made it. Come back and visit us anytime. The link and the password will remain the same for now, but if anything changes, I'll let you know.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I will see you later.
All right, have a good day.
You
Bye,
too.
queen of everything, Janet.